Hello, this is a Betamax 80 Lato flick video again at a ridiculous time of the morning. I do my best work after midnight, I swear. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you tonight about my latest IT project. I'm very proud of it. It's going to be absolutely monstrous. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be a work of fantasy. It's going to be a maniacal beast. It's going to be a kind of a replica, homage and improvement upon my first PC build, which happened at the very start of 1999, based on a Socket 7, Super Socket 7 format with an AMD K6-2 550. Wasn't the first processor. I had the misery of a Cyrix at the very start. The misery of a Cyrix 0333. We forgot to put any cache on the processor. It was a poor effort. Those who work in IT will know what I mean. Cyrix processors were only really used by home builders, and really home builders who didn't have very much money for their computer. Let's just leave it there. So I went to the other end of the spectrum. I got the very fastest and the very best, which was the AMD K6-2 550 megahertz, half a gigahertz and a bit. It was lovely. And it stayed with me in a ridiculous full tower case. I'm not going there again. Full towers are stupid. You can't carry them. They're stupid. We left them behind. They were stupid. 80 full towers were a silly thing. We won't talk about them. But apart from that, the homage is that I will be presenting this computer in the lived with, upgraded to its very best before accepting defeat that the era had passed by in mid-2002 when I moved on to a Socket A based system. So this will be a 1999 to 2002 period correct, as ever with me, new where possible, or very nice used where not. Socket 7 based system, and the most wonderful thing about it is that I have found the appropriate clothing for it, and therefore the system will be called, and it has to be said in the way of the song Fame, it has to be called Beige, because you can't just call it Beige. You have to say Fame, like Fame. So you can't just say Beige. You have to say Beige, because that's what the system will be. So the system is Beige, if you understand. I'm glad you do. I knew that you would. I'm an Aspie. It's a thing. Just deal with it. Okay. Right. Maniacal moment one. I've already been collecting the documents. These floppy disks are not for show. These floppy disks contain valuable drivers for the keyboard and mouse combo. God, that is an absolute treat. You wait for that. For the network adapter, believe it or not. And for the RAID controller, they all have floppy disk drivers. It's like the past, don't you know? It's absolutely wonderful, and I love it. Also, a vital part of every Socket 7 build is the nasty, the hard to live with, the almost incomprehensible Windows 95 OSR2. Yes, we want our USB, it's on the board and we want to damn well use it. It's Windows 95 for OEMs because it wasn't good enough, or perhaps too good, for the retail customers. We don't understand. They did it. It's on eBay. We buy it. It's a thing. How wonderful. So, as ever, Beige has its own set of documents and accessories in a box, because this is how computer builders used to present things, and I kind of like it. So, Beige's box. What should I show you next? Keyboard and mouse. Now I must explain to you first of all, the Windows 95 didn't have proper USB keyboard and mouse support. So PS2 keyboard and mouse was an essential. I went a step further. Oh yes, it's PS2 wireless desktop from our old friends. These were not a good brand. These were the brand of the cheap computer repair shop. These were A4 Tech. It was the brand of the cheap. We love them so much. We love them. They did some horrific mice that they felt like, I don't know, they felt like you're picking up a 2p piece and trying to control a computer with it. If you can imagine how that felt, very much like that. This is lovely. This is so era appropriate. I just cannot explain. It's wonderful. It's absolutely on the ball for the era. This is the wonderful cheap manufacturer trying to be ahead of the times mistake that is just wonderful. It's the A4 Tech anti-RSI wireless keyboard with the amazing triangular key arrangement. I love it. Actually feels okay to type on. I've actually given it a go, and it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. It's okay. And then the mouse, which is typical A4 Tech fare. I told you they make terrible mice. So there's another. Can you see it? Only just. Another wonderful A4 Tech effort on the mouse. It's not going to be nice. Has a roller ball. And then the transmitter, the RF transmitter with the USBs. Sorry, not USBs at all, with the PS2s. Two PS2s, because it needs all the power it can get. To the transmitter, to the keyboard and mouse. I love it. I love it. It is absolutely what was going on in the late 90s. This was things trying to move forward and faltering because the technology wasn't ready. This is trying to use infrared and trying to use the same signal as your cordless phone at home, not quite using proper wireless N frequencies. Wonderful bit of old tech. I'll put that away properly in a second. Really fitting. So that deals with the USB problem. Next, I'm going to present to you the reason that I can call beige. Beige. I'm very pleased with this. Not the original box though, so I'm not going to show you that. But. It's very heavy. It's always a good sign. We have it. Yes, we do. I'm going to have to show it to you in the wrapping because I just cannot get it out of the wrapping at the moment, but that's okay. You can call the computer beige because the case is beige. Absolutely fantastic. It's a totally period correct case, I think. Late 90s, a little bit of detailing, extremely basic, reset button, power button, 2 floppies, 2 optical. Fantastic. Absolutely in love with that case. It's what makes this build absolutely what it should be. I'm very pleased to find a proper era correct case for one of my builds. Very exciting indeed. So, once this is back with me, and this is like the muscle Battle Royale at the moment. There we go. That's over. Onto the parts. Well, the parts have taken a long time to acquire. The case actually, when it came down to it, was a really quick find. I literally went from finding it to it being in my possession within a week. So that wasn't the hard part. Okay, some careful decisions made here. These network cards are legendary. Netgear FA312. We used to use the predecessors of these in the internet company I worked for all the time. Rock solid, very unusual. Used a national semiconductor chip rather than your normal Realtek or anything like that. Rock solid, didn't take up any CPU resources at all. Did everything in hardware. Really good solid network card, 10100 PCI. I'm trying whether I use this yet. It's made an appearance before, but this is the SD card to IDE interface. May possibly use it, could be a place for it, not sure yet. This has seen some service in the Windows 98 build, but just didn't really gel with it somehow. So we have show you the box for this. I didn't know that these guys actually made original equipment themselves, but it turns out they did. So it's a High Point Rocket Raid Run 33. So it's an IDE RAID controller. Very era appropriate. One of the last. 2001, I think this was produced. Has the floppy disk for the old Windows 2000 boot. Nice little card. Actual High Point chip on there. So yeah, these had a good rep when they were being used regularly. So I'm looking forward to trying one of those. Reason for that is the motherboard and all of the boards at that time had very, very low hard disk speeds. This board had ATA33 and the hard disk is ATA100. The board and the chipset is really the bottleneck for disk speeds in machines of this era. So I'm trying to work around that by using an ATA RAID card. We'll have to see how it works out. Now this I'm going to show you, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to use it in this build because the sound card that I'm looking to use isn't compatible with it. But I have other sound cards, so don't worry. This is from my friend Sadako. A fantastic bit of retro equipment. This is a Wave Blaster header. I have the predecessor to this, the S1, on my Oriel 8830, my Vortex 2 card. Sounds absolutely amazing. And the thing is, he's gone and made it smaller. It's half the size of the previous one, and I thought the previous one looked ridiculous. Look at this. So this goes onto a sound card, onto the Wave Blaster header, but half the card is header. I physically don't think you can make this card any smaller at this point. This is literally verging on the crazy. I mean, look at the component fit on there. Well done to that guy. It's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. Even has S2 on there somewhere. But look at that. The main chip is that tiny black thing in the middle. Absolutely amazing. It will be used. I'm not sure whether to see if I can install an ISA card, my little Pine crystal based ISA card on this system, or not, or whether to keep it for the Teratech card to play about with for other things. Not yet sure, we'll find out. Adapter cables, always good. Adapter cables, little things, but make all the difference in these builds. I've documented this previously. I think this is the ideal build for my Oriel Soundcom. I think this is exactly the right card for this build. 1999 modem, Oriel 3D, game port, all on the one card. Very, very rare. I believe the only other card that tried to do this was the IBM M-Wave, and that went so well that they had to replace them all. So this, I assume, did a lot better. But the modem circuitry is indeed on the same card as the sound components, and there it is. It's got sound, it's got game port, it's got modem. What more could you want in an expansion card? I think it's awesome. Really interesting piece of hardware. Looking forward to using that in this build. Hoping it's going to work fine. And you know me, I will find drivers and I will install drivers until the damn thing works. I'm very determined like that. So that will be cool. This is an example. I managed to find somebody who was selling exactly the right memory for this system. Apparently the board I've got is very funny about double-sided memory. It only sees half of the capacity if it's double-sided. So not only is it single-sided, it's the correct maximum capacity for the board, 128 meg. It's Kingston value RAM, and I managed to get 4 of these, job lot of 4 of them in series from one seller, so I'm really pleased. So I now have the maximum 384 megabytes on this board, and I have a spare stick of decent memory, so that's awesome. Next we have the USB card. Now I'm a little bit 50-50 about this because I wasn't able to find a USB 1.1 adapter at all. The best I could do was find a USB 2 adapter card with a VIA chipset, which has I know has proper USB 1.1 compatibility, and I know that because the Windows 98 machine has the same system, same USB controller on it, and it does actually function in USB 1.1 mode. So I'm hoping that I can install this as a USB 1.1 mode, because there's no USB expansion on the motherboard itself. You literally get the 2 on the I/O backplate, and that is all you are going to get. So I want to see if I can do something about that, so that we can see about what we can do with USB in Windows 95. Then we come to the lovely Guillemot Maxi Gamer Phoenix. Yeah, it's not new, unfortunately. It is second hand, but it's in good nick. It's in very good condition, I think. I'm very hopeful about it. But it's a 3DFX Voodoo Banshee card. So it's a 16 megabyte 3DFX Voodoo Banshee card. So it has all of those wonderful abilities to use glide. Not everyone's cup of tea. Perhaps not the most popular card, but you know what? That makes it affordable. It's affordable. It's recent enough. I know that the Voodoo 3 is bottlenecked by a Super Socket 7 system of any kind, so this feels like the perfect card for Super Socket 7 computer. And I know that the Voodoo 3 is bottlenecked because I did that at the time. I put a Voodoo 3 in it, and I never saw the full potential of the Voodoo 3. So let's go with the Banshee, and let's get the most out of a Banshee. If you ask me, I think that's a good solution. Right, let's just pack everything back into this box carefully now, because I want to use it. That would be nice. There we are. Oh, that Dream Blaster does get around a bit. There we are. Could well get lost that. Right, what else do we have? We have, from the case, the fan cage, but it didn't seem to fit the case, so I'll do some research into that. However, I have bought in a fan. As you know, I'm a big fan of Arctic cooling. They're very cost effective. This is an F9 silent, so a 92mm fan, which is what this cage seems to be designed for. Let's see if we can make it work. It's not a clever one, it's not PWM controlled or anything like that, but this case and this board, they don't really work that way. Everything is very much a constant with these boards. This was before the era of temperature management, so I thought it was better that what we have is a constant but quiet supply of air to the case. So that's what this particular fan is going to offer us. Okay, floppy cable. Physically can't get a brand new flat floppy cable, so I've gone for a compromise of a curly 3 connector cable. Wanted it to be 3 connector because I want to connect a physical floppy disk drive this time and a Gotek floppy disk drive emulator. I want this to be the one that interfaces physical floppies and the emulator, because as you could see, some of the software on drivers, for example, actually comes on floppy, so this becomes more relevant, more necessary than it has done previously. Gotek floppy disk drive. I'm not going to open this one as yet. Unfortunately, it's in black. I even ordered beige, but black is what arrived. They're hard enough to get over in the UK, so I'm going to stick with it. This is going to have to stay black. The only black component, sadly. Okay. I have a nice standard. You have to trust me. You can barely tell. It is beige. I have a nice, it's not brand new, but it's in very, very good nick. I cleaned it up and it looks factory fresh. It's the standard Alps Electric end of run 2005, I think. Yeah, kind of an end of run 2005 Alps 1.44 floppy disk drive. But it is end of line. It's seen less wear than most, so it should be a good solid workhorse for me for some years. CD-ROM drive. Now this I chose quite carefully because I wanted to try my best to find a CD-ROM drive that actually still had the CD audio capabilities within it. So when I actually plug an audio cable, I'm hoping to actually hear CD audio, CD digital audio. Seems to be a problem in these more recent drives, especially DVD drives. So this is a good old boy LG 52 speed CD-ROM only drive with all the buttons that show promise. We have headphone jack, we have volume, and we have play and fast forward. I always think it's promising when you've got a play fast forward button on your drive. It makes me think this thing's going to actually support CD audio because it's there for track skip. This seems like it will be good. So I'm optimistic about that. The one thing I'm still waiting on is a complete new in-box BTC DVD rewriter drive. Now, I'm not expecting for any 1 minute that this computer will be able to actually author DVDs, but it's cheaper. It was cheaper to buy this drive than it is to buy a CDRW DVD-ROM combo drive, and this actually comes with the authoring software at the time. So I'm hoping to actually get something like a copy of Nero and a copy of Power DVD, something like that of the era, because it actually comes with a software bundle. So I'm looking forward to that. So please excuse me for the fact it's a DVD rewritable drive. Think of it as being a combo drive that comes with the software and being brand new, because that's how I'm looking at it. I'm not trying to be overkill. It was just the most sensible option. Got floppy disks. Got another box of floppy disks. Actually, deal of the week. Literally was in WH Smith clearance. Look at that. Look at that. £7. Thought I was doing well. £1. Someone really did their work and actually cleared out the back of the cupboard at last, it seems. I'm very happy with that. Okay. Second to last thing to show you. Hard disk. This is quite nice. I'm pleased with this. This for what you can get at the moment. As things move on, as drives corrupt and fail, it's a nice find, I think, for Windows 95. It's a Western Digital WD 800BB. So yes, it is an ID drive. It's an 80GB 7,200 RPM, ATA 100 drive. So I think that's a really nice drive for this system. It's a decent drive. My first choice would have been Hitachi or IBM DeskStar, but as a second option, I'm very pleased with this. It should be a very solid drive. It's a nice caviar model. So I'm looking forward to some good service from this, and it looks to have been fairly well used. It looks like it's been, let's say, it looks like it's been installed in one single system, not chopped and changed, not installed in different ones, been in a test bench, anything like that. So I'm really pleased with that. That was also a fair price, really, assuming it works. Which is the problem with a lot of this. A lot of this is assuming it works, unfortunately. Now, I suppose my biggest gamble, really, this is the thing that I've put on Facebook quite a lot because everybody's curious about it. This is my Daewoo motherboard. Daewoo is in the car manufacturers, the people that make microwave ovens. So this is my Daewoo motherboard. Oh, don't make that noise. Don't make that noise at me. I'll hold it a bit differently then. My Daewoo CB581X-VI. I know it off by heart because I've had to find so much information software for it. It's a very obscure board. But less obscurely, the chipset is a VIA MVP3. You can see you've got a north bridge and a south bridge there. You've got 2 ISA, 4 PCI, and yes, that is a brown AGP socket. As you know, it's not going to be anything fancy. It's AGP 1.0, but that should power my Banshee very nicely. We have our 2 IDEs, our floppy disk controller, right at the top, the CPU underneath that Cooler Master, which actually came with the board. It came with a K6-300, I think. So this wonderful Cooler Master heatsink and fan came with the board. Really pleased with that. Under that now is a AMD K6-2 550, which this board does support. It only understands up to K6-2s. It doesn't really understand K6-3s or K6 pluses. So I thought, okay, we can do that. We'll go straight to the top, which is what I had when I was a young'un anyway. And then, as you can see, we've got the 3 banks of PC100. 128 megabyte memory. That again is the absolute maximum for this board. There are SuperSocket 7 boards, you lucky so-and-sos with gigabyte GA5AXs like I had back in the day, that can actually support, I think, 768 meg across the 3 SIMs. Mine only supports up to 128 per slot, so you're on 384, but it's absolutely maxed at that now. Perfect for Windows 95. The BIOS has a hard disk limit of 32 gigabytes built in, but I have a modified BIOS which removes that, which means it can read hard disks up to 128 gigabytes, which, trust me, is absolutely more than you would expect for of this age to be able to run. This is from the era when Windows 2000 couldn't really understand 128 gigabyte drives either. So for this to understand 128 gigabyte drives is absolutely fab. I'd have been happy if it understood 64, but that should solve so many problems. Not that I'm looking to use the onboard controller really for the hard disk and the CD-ROM, but sometimes you find that the BIOS still likes to stick its oar in, even if you have a third-party BIOS. So it should just make things a little bit smoother. And by the way, I've been on archive.org and I missed the firmware anyway. I found the CD-ROM drive's latest firmware, found the hard disk's latest firmware. Graphics card has a new BIOS that could be going on. You see what I mean. Everything is going to be absolutely as good as possible. But what's nice is that everything being as good as possible will be at kind of 2001 spec. So it's absolutely perfect for this build, for this hopefully 1999 to 2002 build. I'll just show you the refreshingly simple I/O shield on this board. I love it because it's so barren. Didn't want any extras, didn't want it to have onboard sound, so it doesn't have onboard sound. You have 2 PS2 ports, fair enough considering Windows 95 and the USB being half redundant. So you have the USB, I do have ex-USB SUPP, by the way, so I have the modified driver. We will see how that goes. 2 9-pin serials, because who uses 25-pin? It's so passe. We have a parallel port, and we have a big open space. We have no sound, we have no graphics, we have a big open space, and I love that. I don't want my board to have any more than that. Yeah, well, I might like it to have a USB header, but it hasn't got that, so won't worry about that. Apart from that, I don't want it to have anything else. PS2, parallel, serial, USB, bang. Yeah, I love it. I love its simplicity. I love its simplicity. I love its adaptability. I love these Super Socket 7 boards, because they really do get the most out of quite an old chip technology. I mean, to get AGP on one of these boards out of a Super Socket 7 processor it's really cool. It's really cool. So I'm looking forward to updating you on BEIGE. There's one more very exciting element to this build, to me anyway. I have a friend who's extremely interested in computers, about the internals, and I set them a challenge that really, to understand the internals, you need to build a computer and understand what the things are that you're putting together and the relevance. They've taken up the challenge. Under my supervision, they are going to be building BEIGE for me. So it's going to be a very interesting project. I will see if I can take some build photos. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I can't believe it's gone on for half an hour, but it's been quite a showcase video, and it has been a long time coming. Hope you've enjoyed. Would love to hear your comments, thoughts, any reminiscing of computing in the Super Socket 7 era. We'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.